Good morning, guys. Mr. Parisi here, and today we're going to be talking about the main ideas from Chapter 4. The reason being is we're assigning a little mini quiz today, and these main points are going to help you solve the questions on your quiz. So let's get right into it. What have we been talking about in Chapter 4? The main point is we've been talking about linear equations. So what is a linear equation? It's really quite simple. It's just a line. So how do we know something is a line? Well, one way would be with the equation of a line, which is just y equals mx plus b. The way we come up with the equation of a line is we need to find two values, my m value and my b value. If I know these two things, I can write the equation of a line. So we're going to start right here because my b value represents my starting point. So if I was trying to figure out what my b equals, it's really just my starting point. It could also be called your initial value. Or some people see it on a graph and you would understand it as your y-intercept. Okay, last but not least, this is where your x equals 0. Okay, that's a lot of information to be thrown at you, but these are all things that should be hinting that we're talking about the b value in the equation of a line. It's your starting point, your initial value, your y-intercept, and x is going to equal 0 there. So an example would be if I was saving money and I started the year with $100 and then I saved 20 bucks a week, my starting point there is $100. That would be my b value. Now let's start talking about my m. M is going to represent my average rate of change. Another way you could remember this is your slope. Okay, that's your rise over run. How far you go up and over when you're talking about the getting from one point to another on a graph. Okay. So let's see here. We could see this in a few different ways. One of them being a graph, another one being a table. So let's take a look at a couple of these really quick. If I had a table and I had my x's and I had my y's, and let's just say my table looked something like this. If I was looking for my starting point here, my starting point, like we set up here, is always going to be where x equals 0. So when x is 0, my y is 2. So my b value for this particular situation is going to be 2. So if I was writing my equation of a line over here, y equals mx plus b, I already know that this value is going to be equal to 2, okay? We're still not sure what my m is yet, so I'm going to hold off on that. But I do know my b, okay? So how would I find that m value? Because we still got to fill in this blank over here. How would I find that m value? Again, that's my average rate of change, my slope, however you want to remember it. The way we would do that is we actually have an equation for it, okay? So I'm going to kind of push down a little bit here. My average rate of change is just going to be equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. In order to solve for this, we need 2 points. So here we actually have 3 points. You could choose any 2 of these. I'm just going to use the 2 smallest ones because I think these will be the easiest. This would be my x1, this would be my y1, this would be my x2, and this would be my y2. So when I plug in, it's just going to be equal to 6 minus 2 over 1 minus 0. That's going to be equal to 4 over 1, or just 4. Boom. I could take this and plug it right into my equation. So the equation of the line that is represented from this situation right here is just y equals 4x plus 2. My starting value of 2 and my average rate of change of 4. So that's nice and easy. That we have a table there. We can easily see our 2 values that we need for the equation of a line. Sometimes they won't always give it to you so cut and dry like that, where the points are just given to you in a table. Some word problems might represent things like you drove 1 mile, or let's say you drove 1 minute and traveled 6 miles, and after 5 minutes, you traveled 20 miles. Now in this case, they're not giving you points in a table. They're not just spitting them out for you. You would actually have to go through and say, oh, my first point is going to be 1.6. My second point is going to be 5.20. And from there, if they asked me for my average rate of change, I would be able to say, oh, okay, x1, y1, x2, y2, and just plug it right in. And it would be 20 minus 6 over 5 minus 1, just going to equal 14 over 4. In this case, it doesn't come out to a nice even number, but you could reduce that to 7 over 2 or 3.5. And that's my average rate of change. Oops. Average rate of change. So that's pretty much everything you need when it comes to linear equations. If you know your slope and you know your y-intercept, you know how to find your average rate of change, you can write the equation of a line. From there, you can do a number of different things with it. The other main idea that we learned in this unit was talking about horizontal and vertical lines. So let's assume that I have a axes here, my y-axis and my x-axis. Okay, it's important to know that y goes up and down, x goes left and right. So I'm going to put some tick marks in here. We talked about horizontal and vertical lines. Okay, horizontal, go from left to right. Vertical, go up and down. Okay, so how do we write the equation for these lines that don't really have slopes or undefined slopes? So if I had a line that was horizontal, we'll start with, and it kind of came like this. Oh, that was a bad line. We're going to take that horizontal line and go right there. So these are the easiest lines to label because all you have to do is look at which axes they cross. All of my horizontal lines are going to intersect the y-axis. You see it hits right there. Cuts through my y-axis, that is. So all we got to do is look at what y value that is. We're going up 1, 2, 3, 4. I hit at y equals 4. So for my horizontal line, it's just going to be y equals 4. Vertical lines are just as easy, except they don't cut through the y-axis, they cut through the x-axis. So in this case, I'm not going to label them with y equals, it's going to be x equals. And let's see where I cut through. In this case, I cut through at -1, -2, and -3. So this is x equals -3. And labeling horizontal and vertical lines is as easy as that. Again, horizontal is y equals horizontal, and vertical is x equals. I think that just about covers everything you'll need for this quiz. So make sure you watch this video. Watch it multiple times if you need. Look back at your notes. We have homework questions and notes questions that look very similar to the questions on your quiz. Good luck, use your resources, and have a great day.